is underrated slash undermarketed NBA players. So I'm gonna just list some guys that um, I'm fans of their game. I like their game. I think that they should get more recognition for their game, more marketing of their game. These are guys that I think have the ability of certain you know superstar quote unquote superstar talents and things of that nature. And I think um, they just don't get the marketing and exposure as some of these other guys. Some of these guys play for quote unquote smaller markets, if you will. So I think that's probably the primary reason why they don't get the recognition and stuff like that. That I think that they do deserve. So to start, go with De'Aaron Fox. I think De'Aaron Fox is a guy that is a superstar talent, can do anything on the court. Um, he's a speedster, probably the fastest guy in the NBA with the ball. Um, can shoot it, dunk when you finish. Um, just a good point guard. He can facilitate very well. Um, he has all the abilities of all the other point guards in the league that they put in their top five or superstars. Um, he has that. He has those abilities and some. And I think he's a real special talent. He's produced since he came into the league, showing that he's a really great player from the start. Like I said, I think it's just the fact that he's in Sacramento. Sacramento doesn't get a lot of nationally televised games and media, you know, marketing and stuff like that. So I think that's probably the main reason why he doesn't get um, the quote unquote respect or the recognition that he should get. Because, like I said, he's a superstar talent. He has the ability, he has the abilities of all these, guards that they say is, the top five and stuff like that. So De'Aaron Fox. Then I'm gonna go Cade Cunningham. I think Cade, um, playing for the Detroit Pistons, doesn't get a lot of nationally televised game. They haven't been, a playoff team or one of these, contending teams over the past 5 years. So his game hasn't been getting that recognition, that marketing, but he's been balling. He's a very um, dynamic player in my opinion. I think he's averaging around 20, a little over 20 points, um, 5+ rebounds, 5+ assists. I think he's hovering around 7 rebounds, 7 assists, or something like that. But really good player, man. Just doesn't get that uh, recognition and stuff like that. Um, he can do almost everything on the court. He's essentially like a 6'7" point guard. Can play the two. Um, he can score it, facilitate, rebound. Got good size. Um, he really has the ability to um, do everything on the court. But I said just doesn't, him playing at small, quote unquote, small market team that's a team that doesn't get that much nationally televised games. Um, people aren't too aware of him and his ability and what he can do and what he can provide. So, you know, I think that's probably the main reason why a lot of he doesn't get the marketing and the recognition. But Detroit's been all right. They've been a lot better than they have been in recent years this year. So, hopefully he could make an All-Star game this year. I think he's deserving. He's been playing very well. So, um, hopefully he can, make that this year. Um, Next, I'm gonna go D'Angelo Russell. Um, Big fan of his game. Have been. Um, I think he's a guy who doesn't get, people be critical of his game. Um, I think a lot of it has to do with the circumstance he's been in as he's been in the league. Right now he's playing, as the either third or fourth option with the Lakers, with LeBron, AD, and then it's pretty much between him and Austin Reeves as the third or fourth option, depending on the night. I personally think D'Lo is better than Austin Reeves, but circumstance. Austin Reeves is a good player, but I think D'Lo's better. Um, you've seen what D'Lo can do. I.e. the Brooklyn situation. He was averaging like 21, 7, 5, something like that. Um, when he's in a position where he can, be, have, bigger role offensively. He can put up numbers. Um, Very skilled player. Um, very, very, very skilled player. Uh, just a real fan of his game. I think if he was, like he went to Orlando, Orlando would be, I think that could really give them an extra step. You know what I'm saying? If he were to go to like Orlando, a young team that's on the rise, because D'Lo's still fairly young. I think he's probably like 28, 28, 20, 27, 28 range, something like that. So he's still a young player. And, Orlando's a young team. I think he can go there. He has the experience. So it's not like he's just a, totally, young guy, but he's, kind of like in that prime era of his career type of thing. And I think he could really be a boost for a team like the Magic. And, having a bigger role of responsibility on the team. It's harder for him to do that when you got AD and LeBron on the team. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's taking up a lot of, looks, shots and stuff like that. So his game can't really be shown like that as as the way that I think it could be. Because I've seen this guy play. He's a really good player. For guys who don't know, I think he gets kind of some slack a lot from media, whether it's just due to his personality or whatever. How media does. They just will try to attack you just off your personality and stuff like that. Stuff that has nothing to do with basketball, but it is what it is. But he's a guy that I think is really good. It's just circumstance and situation that I think really is the thing when it comes to D'Lo. Then next, Trae Young. Trae Young's is a guy who's been great from the start since he entered the league. A 30-10 guy on I think a couple seasons, and Atlanta, not really a major marketed team. Not a team that gets a lot of coverage, nationally televised games. Um, but he's been balling, man. I'm a big fan of Trae Young. This is kind of like this media thing where, oh, he's a fake Steph or he's unlikable or whatever the case may be. I think he's just a really strong competitor. There are similarities in his game when it pertains to him and Steph Curry, but I think there's I definitely think there's some differences in his game as well. Like he's very him and Steph are actually very different in ways in terms of their game. Um, but like nonetheless, I'm just a big fan of Trae Young. Being at the size that he's at and putting up the numbers and doing the things he does on the court is incredible, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? You got a 5'11", 5'10" probably in real life, real time, guy putting up these numbers, you know, super skilled, um, doing these things, and I think it's impressive. And to me, I think it's a matter of situation, him going to a situation that's gonna you know be formidable for him. I think you know when CP maybe retire probably within the next year or two. I think Trey should look to go to San Antonio. Him and Wimby can be an awesome, duo. Very dynamic. Both of those guys put up some pretty crazy numbers. I think that could be a crazy dynamic. Um, but yeah, just big fan of Trey's game. I think just under marketed and things of that nature. So yeah, Trae Young, and then lastly, I'm gonna go with Carl Towns. Um, again, he spent majority of his career in Minnesota. Not a major market team. They've had some slight success in the recent years. Um, and I think Cat gets like again media tries to portray him like he's soft or he's not a tough player or aggressive player. I bet it's been a big fan of Cat. He's a finesse big. He has that Euro style game to him. Um, very skilled, big, can shoot very well. Athletic as well. He has that athleticism, and I'm just big fan of Cat, man. Big fan. Like I love his game. I think he's really good. I think he's an underrated big in the league, and it's this era. I wouldn't say this era, but just like guys who previously were in the league, always complain about this era and the style of play of the bigs, and this is like just not accepting the evolution of the game. You know what I'm saying? Like these bigs can play on the perimeter. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they can play down low, but they can play on the perimeter as well. And it gets perceived like you're soft, for whatever foolish reasons, like because you can play on the perimeter and shoot the basketball. You know what I'm saying? At a high clip and be a big. Um, I think people gotta understand that's just the evolution of the game. You know what I'm saying? This is where the game's going. You got Nikola Jokic, who's essentially a point center. You know what I'm saying? So, um, like I said, big fan of Cat, and yeah, so that just rounds out my list of players that I think are a bit undermarketed, underrated by guys, in the league.